Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and French President Emmanuel Macron to hold bilateral engagements in Mumbai to strengthen cooperation across a wide spectrum of areas. Prime Minister Narendra Modi terms AI Impact Expo a powerful convergence of ideas and innovation, highlights potential of Indian talent in shaping the future of artificial intelligence. Lawmakers sworn into Bangladesh's parliament as Dhaka prepares for the swearing-in of Tarique Rahman as Prime Minister later today. Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla to attend the ceremony. President Trump warns Tehran of consequences of not making a deal in the US-Iran talks set to begin in Geneva today. Iran holds military drill in key oil strait ahead of crucial talks. Nissanka stunned power Sri Lanka to an 8-wicket win over Australia in the ICC T20 World Cup. Australia on the brink of group stage exit after crushing defeat. The 5-day India AI Impact Summit at Delhi's Bharat Mandapam enters its second day today, drawing heads of states, policymakers, tech industry executives, journalists, civil society groups and several others from around the globe for what promises to be an intense, high-stakes week in New Delhi. Day 2 of the summit is marked by the prestigious launch of knowledge compendiums, including the casebooks on AI in health, energy, education, agriculture, gender empowerment and accessibility. While Bharat Mandapam hosts a specialized seminar on applied AI and the ongoing expo, Sushma Swaraj Bhavan takes the lead on social equity by hosting sessions on the role of AI as global impact challenge, spotlighting women leaders driving the AI revolution. Prime Minister Narendra Modi underscored the importance of intelligence, reasoning and decision-making in making science and technology truly useful for the society. In a post on X on day 2 of the summit, Prime Minister Modi emphasized that the core objective of the summit is to explore how artificial intelligence can be harnessed for the welfare of all citizens. Prime Minister Narendra Modi shared some of the highlights of Day 1 of India AI Impact Expo 2026, a powerful convergence of ideas, innovation and intent. It showcased the extraordinary potential of Indian talent in shaping the future of artificial intelligence for global good. Above all, it reaffirmed our commitment to harnessing AI responsibly, inclusively and at scale for human progress. Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan today attended the session on pushing the frontier of AI in India at Bharat Mandapam. The session highlighted India's transition from policy vision to implementation at scale, leveraging public digital infrastructure, center of excellence, teacher training programs, curriculum integration and deep collaboration with industry and startups. The event marks another significant milestone in the ministry's continued efforts to leverage the transformative potential of artificial intelligence in education. At the India AI Impact Summit, the Indian Army showcased a suite of indigenous dual-use AI systems, underscoring its transformation into a data-centric, AI-enabled force aligned with India's vision of technological self-reliance and secure digital capability. From automated assessment tools and real-time situational awareness platforms to disaster prediction, deepfake detection and AI-driven cybersecurity solutions, the Army presents applications that strengthen defense preparedness while supporting disaster response, infrastructure protection and national digital security. The Indian Army's AI initiatives presented at the India AI Summit demonstrate a decisive shift towards a secure, networked and AI-empowered ecosystem. President of Estonia, Alar Karis, arrived in New Delhi to participate in the India AI Impact Summit. The visiting leader was warmly received by Minister of State for Youth Affairs and Sports, Raksha Khatse, at the airport. The visit will further strengthen the long-standing India-Estonia ties. Bolivia's Vice President Edmund Lara also arrived in New Delhi to attend the India AI Impact Summit. French President Emmanuel Macron arrived in Mumbai on Tuesday for a three-day official visit to India at the invitation of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Prime Minister Modi and President Macron are scheduled to meet at Lok Bhavan in Mumbai. The two leaders will hold a bilateral engagement to review progress in India-France strategic partnership and also discuss ways to expand cooperation into new and emerging areas. Further, French President will also participate in the AI Impact Summit being hosted by India, underscoring the growing collaboration between the two nations.
On 17th February, India and France will enter a new phase of cooperation in innovation. In Mumbai, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and French President Emmanuel Macron will jointly announce the launch of the India-France Year of Innovation 2026. During Prime Minister Modi's visit to France last year, both countries announced the Horizon 2047 roadmap. The India-France Year of Innovation 2026 will be part of that vision. Throughout the year, programs will be organized to promote innovation in defense, space, civil, nuclear energy, climate, digital technology, and emerging sectors. The initiative is expected to generate awareness and inspiration, especially among youth. The India-France Innovation Forum will be held in Mumbai on 17th February. Apart from Prime Minister Modi and President Macron, the forum will bring together business leaders, startup representatives, researchers and policymakers from both countries. To take the India-France Year of Innovation 2026 to the public, a special cultural program will also be organized at the historic Gateway of India in Mumbai on the 17th. The Year of Innovation particularly will focus on startup collaboration, joint research, higher education partnerships, artificial intelligence, green technologies, and next-generation digital technologies. At a time when the global order faces multiple challenges, this collaboration between India and France will signal positive and constructive engagement on the world stage.
This is the time of innovation and India cannot miss this chance. That is why India-France Innovation Year 2026 is very important, because if India has to become a developed nation by 2047, innovation is very important. Akhilesh Suman for DD India with camera person Ashish Sharma in Mumbai, Lok Bhavan.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has welcomed President Macron to India. In a social media post, he said, and I quote him, "India looks forward to your visit and to advancing our bilateral ties to new heights. I'm confident that our discussions will further strengthen cooperation across sectors and contribute to global progress. See you in Mumbai and later in Delhi, my dear friend Emmanuel Macron." Spokesperson of the External Affairs Ministry, Randhir Jaiswal, has termed the meeting between Prime Minister Modi and President Macron as immensely important for both India and France. Giving details of the packed program of both the leaders in Mumbai today, he said that both the leaders will talk on strategic relations, among other issues of mutual importance.
The President of France, His Excellency Mr. Emmanuel Macron, has arrived in the city of Mumbai. There are two aspects to his visit to India this time. One, he will be holding bilateral talks with Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi later this afternoon here in Mumbai, and thereafter he travels to Delhi to attend the AI Impact Summit. As you know, there's so much that is happening between India and France, two strategic partners. in the fields of digital technology, in the fields of innovation, student mobility, culture, defense, security, green pathways, and a lot more. All these issues will come up for discussion when the two leaders meet this afternoon.
Defence Minister Rajnath Singh will co-chair the 6th India-France Annual Defence Dialogue with his French counterpart, Catherine Vautrin, in Bengaluru on Tuesday. The meeting will review the entire gamut of bilateral defence cooperation with focus on expanding industrial collaboration. A defence cooperation agreement is expected to be renewed for another 10 years, along with an MOU on a joint venture for manufacturing the Hammer missile, which is likely to be signed in presence of both the defence ministers. Also, an announcement is expected with respect to reciprocal deployment of officers at the Indian Army and French Land Forces establishments. The two ministers are also expected to witness the virtual inauguration of the H-125 light utility helicopter final assembly of Tata Airbus by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and French President Macron at Vemagal in Karnataka. You're watching DD India Live. We're heading for a short break. Stay with us.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium, we'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Hello. Johar. It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout हो गया.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India Live. Let's get you more updates. The newly elected members of Parliament of Bangladesh Nationalist Party took oath of office at the Jatiya Sansad this morning in Dhaka. Bangladesh's Prime Minister-elect Tarique Rahman, along with other BNP lawmakers, was sworn into Parliament on Tuesday, becoming the first elected representatives since 2024 uprising. Chief Election Commissioner of Bangladesh administered the oath of office to the newly elected lawmakers. Later, the BNP Parliamentary Party elected party chairman Tarique Rahman as the leader of the House. The decision came at a meeting of the BPP at the Jatiya Sansad Bhavan. Tarique Rahman will take oath as the new Prime Minister of Bangladesh later in the day today. President Mohammad Shahabuddin will administer the oath to the new cabinet members at South Plaza of the Jatiya Sansad. Rahman's Bangladesh Nationalist Party has bagged 209 out of 297 seats, while right-wing Jamaat-e-Islami secured 68 seats in the 13th parliamentary elections. Speaker of the lower house of Indian Parliament, Om Birla, will represent the country at the swearing-in of Bangladesh's Prime Minister-designate Tarique Rahman in Dhaka. The Speaker's participation will underscore the deep and enduring friendship between the people of India and Bangladesh, reaffirming India's steadfast commitment to the democratic values that bind our two nations. Meanwhile, hours before the swearing-in ceremony, Bangladesh's interim leader, Muhammad Yunus, on Monday announced his resignation in a televised address to the nation, formally ending the caretaker administration that governed after the 2024 political upheaval. In his farewell address, Yunus urged the country to safeguard the democratic space that had reopened during the transition period. The second round of talks between Tehran and Washington is taking place in Geneva. Earlier on Monday, US President Donald Trump warned Iran of the consequences of not making a deal. Trump said that he would be involved indirectly in the talks. When asked about the prospects of a deal, Trump said that Iran sought tough negotiations but learned the consequences of such a hardened stance last summer when the US bombed Iranian nuclear sites.
Involved in those talks indirectly, and they'll be very important. We'll see what can happen. But typically, Iran's a very tough negotiator. They're good negotiators, or bad negotiators. I would say they're bad negotiators because we could have had a deal instead of sending the B-2s in to knock out their nuclear potential, and we had to send the B-2s. I hope they're going to be more reasonable. They want to make a deal.
The deal is next to impossible.
No, I think they want to make a deal. I don't think they want the consequences of not making a deal.
Iran-US nuclear talks had stalled over Washington's demand to forego enrichment on its soil. This was followed by the US joining Israel in striking Iranian nuclear sites in June. On the sidelines of a conference in Jerusalem, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that any deal between the United States and Iran must involve the removal of all enriched uranium from Iran as well as Tehran's ability to enrich more.
Said that if a deal is to be reached, it should have several components that we believe are important not only for the security of Israel, but for the security of the world, the United States, the region, the world. The first is that all enriched material has to leave Iran. The second is that there shall be no enrichment capability, not stopping the enrichment process, but dismantle the equipment and the infrastructure that allows you to enrich in the first place. And the third is to deal also with the questions of ballistic missiles. So there has to be real inspections, substantive inspections, no lead time inspections, but effective inspections for all of the above.
Iran's foreign ministry spokesman said that the US position on Tehran's nuclear program has moved towards a more realistic one. He added that Iran's inalienable rights under the Non-Proliferation Treaty were recognized, referring to the peaceful uses of nuclear energy, including enrichment. Meanwhile, tensions are soaring ahead of the talks, with the US deploying a second aircraft carrier to the Middle East. On the other hand, Iran's Revolutionary Guards Navy held a drill in the Hormuz Strait on Monday. According to Iran news agency, the drill, named Smart Control of Hormuz Strait, aimed at testing the readiness of operational forces in the face of possible security and military threats. Ukrainian, Russian and American delegations are gathering in the Swiss city of Geneva for a third round of US-brokered talks on Tuesday. For the first time, discussions would focus on the main issues, including territories and other demands put forward by Moscow. The Russian delegation is led by presidential aide Vladimir Medinsky, with military intelligence chief Igor Kostikov also participating. President Putin's special envoy Kirill Dmitriev will join a separate working group focusing on economic issues. Trump's top envoy Steve Witkoff and son-in-law Jared Kushner are part of the US delegation, while the head of Ukraine's National Security Council, Rustem Umerov, will represent Kyiv along with a host of other officials. Two earlier rounds of US-backed talks in the United Arab Emirates led to a prisoner swap, but no breakthrough towards a settlement. Now, Russia controls about 75% of the Zaporizhzhia region. Russia is demanding that Ukraine cede the remaining 20% of the eastern region of Donetsk that Moscow has failed to capture, something Kyiv refuses to do. US President Donald Trump is pressing Moscow and Kyiv to reach a deal to end Europe's biggest conflict since 1945, though Ukrainian President Zelensky has complained that his country is facing the greatest pressure to make concessions. Ahead of the talks, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that Ukrainian intelligence showed more Russian attacks on energy targets lay ahead and that such strikes made it more difficult to reach an agreement.
Everyone is now awaiting the continuation of trilateral meetings. Our delegation is already in Geneva and preparing for negotiations. Russia cannot resist the temptation of the final days of winter cold and wants to strike Ukrainians painfully. The more evil comes from Russia, the harder it will be to reach any agreements with them. Partners must understand this.
З ними партнери повинні це усвідомлювати.
US President Donald Trump would decide soon on whether to send more weapons to Taiwan after Chinese President Xi Jinping warned him not to do so. In a phone call with Trump on February 4th, Xi called for mutual respect in relations with the United States while warning Washington about the arms sales to Taiwan. The United States approved $11 billion worth of arms to Taiwan in December. Shortly thereafter, China launched major live-fire drills to simulate a blockade around Taiwan's key ports. The US government has labeled Cuba a failed nation, citing shortage of jet fuel and basic resources that hinder operations like flights. US President Donald Trump said officials including Marco Rubio are in discussion with Cuba to address the situation, which is being called a humanitarian threat, while the country continues to face an embargo and severe resource constraints. Meanwhile, Cuba's fuel shortage has triggered a waste management crisis, with many garbage trucks lacking enough petrol to collect trash, leaving piles of rubbish accumulating on street corners across Havana. Cuba's media said that trash is piling up in other towns as well, with residents warning on social media about potential public health risks. The country has long relied on Venezuela for much of its jet fuel, but supplies stopped in mid-December after the United States moved to block Venezuelan exports. The case of U.S. sex offender late Jeffrey Epstein has created furor in political circles around the world. Former U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton hoped more files related to Epstein would be released. Earlier this month, former U.S. President Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton agreed to testify in a congressional investigation into Epstein case.
And we're hoping that there will be continued release every day that passes. That doesn't mean, as our news commentators say every day in the United States, it's because someone's name is there, they committed a crime. But I think there's a lot of very troubling and really horrific information coming out. Today, it came out that Steve Bannon was trying to get Jeffrey Epstein to help him overthrow Pope Francis. I've called for, many, many years for everything to be put out there so people can not only see what is in them, but also, if appropriate, hold people accountable. We'll see what happens.
The U.S. Justice Department's release of millions of internal documents related to Epstein has revealed his ties to many prominent people, both before and after he pleaded guilty in 2008 to prostitution charges. The executive chairman of Hyatt Hotel, Thomas Pritzker, is the latest casualty as he admitted to maintaining contact with convicted sex offenders Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. He acknowledged and termed it as a terrible judgment. Now, Pritzker, 75 years of age, would not seek re-election to the company's board in 2026. Let's talk of sports now. Sri Lanka trumped Australia by 8 wickets in Palakkal to push them to the brink of elimination from the ICC T20 World Cup 2026. Mitchell Marsh and Travis Head blazed away to explosive 50s before Sri Lanka rallied to bowl out Australia for 181. Sri Lanka rode on Nisanka's unbeaten ton to chase a record target at the venue in 18 overs and leave Australia's qualification hopes hanging by a thread. Australia will now need to win by a massive margin against Oman in their final match and also rely on results of other matches. The last time Australia was knocked out in the group stage of the T20 showpiece event was in 2009. Scintillating century from Patham Nissanka sealed Sri Lanka's place in the Super 8 stage of the competition. The opener slammed the second century by a Sri Lankan batter in the T20 World Cup, joining the legendary Mahela Jayawardene. This is also the second fastest T20 international century by a Sri Lankan in T20 internationals, coming in just 52 balls. And a look at today's matches in the T20 World Cup as teams eye final knockout spots. Underdog Zimbabwe are just one win away from sealing their spot in the Super 8s. Zimbabwe, who upset heavyweights Australia earlier in the tournament, face Ireland today. While both sides are in contention for the knockouts, Zimbabwe have momentum firmly on their side with 2 consecutive wins. If Zimbabwe win, they will advance to the knockout stage for the first time and also knock Australia out of the tournament. Meanwhile, Nepal will clash with Scotland in a dead rubber Group C contest at Wankhede Stadium. Scotland won their first match against Italy by 73 runs but faced defeat from England by 5 wickets. Nepal, on the other hand, are yet to secure a victory in the tournament. From their group, West Indies and South Africa have already qualified for the Super 8 stage. British boxer Tyson Fury will step back into the ring on April 11th after a 15-month absence to face Russian-born heavyweight Arslanbek Makhmudov in a bout at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Fury said that he was coming out to retirement. In fact, he was coming out of retirement to make boxing great again. He explained that Anthony Joshua's accident prompted him to think about the fragility of life and also pushed him out of retirement. Meanwhile, Makhmudov said that the bout was his dream fight and that he believed a photograph of himself and Fury taken 10 years ago was a signal from God that he would become heavyweight champion one day. That's it in this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. Now, this app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. You can download the respective QR codes. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.